Welcome in to Outkick the Show, National Championship Edition. I just got back from Atlanta. I am going a little bit early today because it is only 2 o'clock Eastern, but I've slept like 3 hours in the past 48. Want to give a shout out to my new shirt here. I got an awesome Stranger Things shirt for Christmas, sweatshirt that I'm wearing here. Finally got through season 2 of Stranger Things about 5 days ago. Much to get to, much to discuss. I hope you guys were listening to my show this morning, which we did on about 3 hours sleep live from Atlanta. I then hopped in my car and just drove back up to Nashville and just got here about 15 minutes ago. Going to go ahead and do the show live here a little bit early. So we got a bunch to get to. My name is Clay Travis. This is Outkick the Show presented by Oddshark. Go to Oddshark for all your gambling and informational related needs. And if you need a mortgage, trust me, people, go to my friend Ryan Kelly at thehomeloanexpert.com. They are the presenting sponsor of the Anonymous Mailbag, which will be up tomorrow. Did not have any time to write it today because I have been working so much. Anonymous Mailbag will be up Wednesday, tomorrow. I'm telling you, go to thehomeloanexpert.com right now. Tell them Clay Travis sent you. You get hooked up. They can turn a rate in the 4s into a rate in the 2s. They can help you save several months on your mortgage. Skip several months. Save you a lot of money just in time for 2018. All right. Lots to get to. Let's start with the national title game. And I want to start right here with this. I sometimes have to pinch myself. The fact that I get to make a living going to national title games as a college football fan still kind of blows my mind. The first national title game I went to and sat in the press box for was the 2011 national title game between Auburn and Oregon. Since then, I've been to 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I've gotten to go to all of them. And so I stood at the time of the game. I was on the field at the 10-yard line, directly facing the overtime. And it's funny, while I was standing right there at the 10-yard line, 2 Bama ball boys, the guys who carry around the footballs on the sideline, came sprinting down the sideline and dropped at the 10-yard line right in front of me. Each of them had a football. And each in turn turned to me and they're like, Clay Travis, we love Outkick. And I was like, well, thanks to your asshole kicker, we just lost the under because that guy couldn't make a 36-yard field goal. And one of them was like, what do you think about the flying Hawaiian, talking about Tua? And I said, man, he's phenomenal. If you go back and look at my tweets, I watched the Alabama spring game. And I watched the Alabama spring game and started tweeting about how good he looked in that spring game. And I said, does he look like this in practice? And they were like, he kills it in practice. Everybody has been wondering why he hasn't been playing. All the receivers, everybody else, he has been dominant. They called him, again, the flying Hawaiian. And he made a throw for the ages for Alabama. Second down and 26 from the 41. He dropped a dime in, true freshman, came in, 3 touchdown passes. I know he had the 1 pick, but when I went and did my gambling picks, I said, you need to take Georgia, and I don't have any faith in Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts can't throw the ball. There's no way that Kirby Smart is going to let Jalen Hurts beat them. And at halftime, I was one of the only people I saw as it got close to halftime saying, don't you have to put Tua in? I didn't know if Nick Saban was going to be brave enough to do it. But now in his last 2 national title games, Nick Saban has done 2 incredibly risky things that have broken in his direction. First, if you remember in the 2015 title, the 2016 game, he went with an onside kick and won it and got it. And it was an incredibly successful play that was very out there for Nick Saban to do. And then last night, he made the decision to go with Tua. Now, I want to break down several decisions that I thought were really important in this game. First of all, I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this, but down 13-0, Tua was dead to rights with about 3 or 4 Georgia players all around him ready to sack him. He escapes that sack, runs all the way back across the entire field, and gets the first down. That then led to a touchdown, which made it 13-7. That was, I think, the play that got Tua rolling, because then he hit 3 or 4 big-time passes in a row, really started to get comfortable in the pocket, because remember, the first drive of the second half was 3 and out. This one, they should have had him wrapped up and dead to rights, and they would have had to punt. Instead, he managed to somehow avoid getting tackled, ran all the way back across the field. I think it was 3rd and 7, and he got the first down there. It was a phenomenal play, and he was able to cut it to 13-7. Okay, then we got an answer from Jake Fromm, an incredible pass, incredible catch down the sideline. I believe it was Wims who scored, and it's 20-7. Okay, and then we get an interception, and with 6 minutes to go, Georgia has the ball at the Bama 39 or 40, up 13. And then, I don't know, things went awry there on that pass play, and Bama picked it off. I think right then and there, if you really want to break it down, right then and there is where Georgia lost the game. Okay? Georgia lost the game on that interception because if they had been able to just kick a field goal there, and we know their boy who can't miss at all in the rec specs would have bombed it through. If they had just run the ball of all times 3 times there, they would have kicked a field goal and they would have gone up 23-7. If I'm a Georgia fan, that's where I go back and say, man, we lost the game there. Even though Bama just came down and kicked a field goal, and even though they just came down and kicked another field goal the next time to make it 20-13. Then on that 4th down play, Georgia has a timeout, has their defense set. I think Tua just made a play. Okay, I think Tua just made a play. But before that, I thought Georgia got too cute, just like Oklahoma did against Georgia. I think they got way too cute. And what I mean by that is they made the decision to go double Wildcat in that next possession after Alabama cut it to 20-13. And in particular, they ran a Wildcat play on 3rd down. I think it was way too conservative. I think it was the wrong call. And as a result, I think they ended up getting caught there. And when they kicked it back to Alabama, Alabama came back down. Tua made that incredible throw. And then I think the moment got to Jake Fromm a little bit. He missed a throw that he would ordinarily make for a first down. Now, Bama then looked like a well-oiled machine, took it right down the field, centered it, had it set up perfectly for a 36-yard chip shot field goal, and they missed it so badly. I was on the field, and I can't tell you how bad of a miss that was. It blew my mind how bad of a miss that was. That's one of the least clutch kicks I have ever seen in the history of major college football or the NFL. He shanked it completely to the left. The ball came out sideways. It wasn't even remotely close. And I'll tell you what, I sank to my knees on the sideline at that moment because I had Georgia +4 and I had the under. I thought I had that money in the bank. I was counting my money already. I had a lot of money on this game. And all I needed for Alabama to do was just drill that field goal right down the middle. I would have still covered Georgia +4 because I got a good number, and a lot of you did too. And we would have had the under, 0 doubt. Then we go into overtime, and my guy Rodrigo Blankenship just bombs through like a 52-yard field goal. And then we got Tua sacked. And again, I said I had that conversation with the Bama football managers. And then next play, 2nd and 26. I don't know how you let a guy behind you like that. I mean, in all honesty, we've seen a lot of this in the SEC, whether it's Tennessee letting a guy run right by him for the Hail Mary touchdown, whether it was Georgia, frankly, last year when, first of all, Tennessee let a Georgia receiver run right by them for a Jacob Eason big pass, and then Tennessee hit the Hail Mary on the play back the other way. The Hail Mary is actually easier for me to understand how it happens because it's kind of a crazy scene, and the ball's up in the air in the end zone. It's just kind of a jump ball. I don't understand how in the world you let somebody just run right by you like that in that situation. It seems to me to be utterly indefensible and just violate like every basic tenet of understanding as a defensive back that you would have. Even if you think you've got safety help, I don't understand it. I mean, it was a bad play. I know Tua looked off the safety to the center of the field and then came back to him. But still, how do you let the guy just run by you? That was a disaster of a play. That was indefensible. Tua made a big-time play for a true freshman, looking off the guy down the center of the field, then coming back and dropping a dime in for the touchdown. Now, what does this mean in a larger context? Guys, I think right now you can make a legitimate argument that Nick Saban is the single greatest coach in the modern history of sports, okay? Let me explain why. He is 16-3 now in national title games, in conference title games, and in playoff games. All right, 16-3. Let me break that down. 6-1 in national title games, 7-1 in SEC title games, and 3-1 in the college football playoff. Let me also break that down further. The 3 teams that he has lost to, the first team was Tim Tebow and Florida. They won the national championship. The second team that he lost to was Ohio State. They went on to win the national championship. The third team he lost to was Clemson, throwing a touchdown pass with 1 second left. Now, the knock on Nick Saban is people say, well, college football is the minor league. Do it in the NFL. I actually think it's easier to win in the NFL if you have a great quarterback. I think what Saban has done is more difficult because he has to remake his team every 2 or 3 or 4 years. All right, think about this for a minute. Unlike Bill Belichick, who fucking sucked with the Cleveland Browns and then became amazing with the New England Patriots once he had Tom Brady, Nick Saban's never had a great quarterback. Think about the guys he's won a title with. He won a title with Greg McElroy, not an NFL talent. He won a couple of titles with A.J. McCarron. We have no idea how good of a quarterback A.J. McCarron is because he only started 3 games for the Bengals. He won a title with Jacob Coker, and now he won a title with Jalen Hurts, who can't even throw the ball, and with Tua, who may be really good. We just don't know. Nick Saban, when you look at who he's won titles with, plus Matt Mock, all the guys he's won titles with are not big-time quarterbacks. And if you want to toss it in on top of that, he also can't seem to make a field goal to save his life. He missed 2 last night, either one of which would have theoretically won the game. I think what Nick Saban does is arguably more difficult than what Bill Belichick does because Bill Belichick has found the secret formula. He's got a great quarterback, and he rides him. I would love to have seen what would have happened if Nick Saban, instead of being forced to sign Dante Culpepper because the Dolphins medical staff wouldn't clear Drew Brees, what if he had cleared Drew Brees? Is it possible? I think it is. Is it possible that Nick Saban would still be coaching in the NFL and that he would have won multiple Super Bowls? Yes, and yes, I think to both. In fact, interesting little detail, head-to-head against Bill Belichick, Saban went 2-2. Saban went 2-2 in his 2 seasons head-to-head against Bill Belichick. Twice a year, they split those 4 games, even though Saban had shit for quarterbacks. I think if Nick Saban ever had a Tom Brady-like quarterback in the NFL, that he would have been every bit as successful as Bill Belichick has been. And again, the level of dominance that Nick Saban has achieved has been unlike anything we've ever seen before. Okay? Number 1 in 08, 09, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. 10 straight years, now 11 with 2018. If it were so easy to do in college football, how come Saban has done it at a level that nobody else has done it, while meanwhile the SEC has been at a height that it's never been at before? Remember, big loss for Georgia because if Georgia had won, Georgia would have been the 6th different SEC team to win a national championship since 1998. Nobody else in major college football has more than 3. The Big 12 has got 3. They got 1 for Texas, they got 1 for Oklahoma, and they got a couple for Nebraska during that time frame. If you go back to 1997 and count Nebraska's titles as the Big 12, as you should. The ACC has got Florida State, and they got Clemson. The Big East has got Miami. The Big 10 has just got a half for Michigan and a couple for Ohio State. The Pac-12 just has USC. The level of dominance in the SEC is unlike anybody else. I think that Georgia was the better team yesterday, and they gave away that game. Now, the Bulldog faithful out there want to put on a positive spin and say, hey, we didn't Georgia it. This is a new era. Kirby Smart is recruiting at a high level. We're going to be back here again. Here's the problem with that. Unless you're Nick Saban, it's really damn hard to play for a championship. So for Georgia fans out there that are like, okay, we didn't win this game. We're ahead of schedule. We'll be back and we'll win another title. I think you're overshooting it a little bit. You got 31 seniors. You're going to lose a lot off of this team. I know you have the number 1 recruiting class in the nation, and I'm not saying you're not going to be in the mix for the championships for years to come. I'm just saying that this idea that because you didn't win it this year, that you're going to be fine in the years ahead, I'm not necessarily buying into that. That's all I'm going to say, okay? Not necessarily buying into the idea that Georgia is just going to get right back there and do it again. I think the pressure is going to mount. I think there's a lot of more difficulty in maintaining excellence than there is to ascending to excellence. Right now, Georgia's fans are all going to expect another national title run next year. They had the opportunity, a little bit like Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer, I believe I'm correct in this, won the national championship in a time when Ohio State fans didn't really think he was going to do it. He won it really early. He definitely won it really early at Florida in year 2. And then the expectations were high, but he had already achieved the championship. Once you get that close to a championship and don't do it, then all of a sudden the expectations are elevated and the pressure will be ratcheted up substantially on Georgia in the future. This year, nobody expected him to be there. Yes, it's great that you beat Oklahoma. Yes, it's great that you should have beaten Alabama. Yes, it's fantastic that you believe, oh, Kirby Smart's going to be dominant for years to come. We don't have to worry about any of this. But in my opinion, this one is going to sting for a long time because Georgia had this game won and then they Georgia'd it. Okay, what questions do you guys have about last night's game between Alabama and Georgia? I will say this. The Big Ten officials missed some blatant calls. I thought the worst missed call of the night, frankly, came when, I don't remember who it was from Alabama, tackled Jake Fromm and then just smacked him right in the back of the head. That was not only a 15-yard penalty, that was arguably should have been an ejection. When I watched that replay and I saw it, I said, my God, how in the world was that not called as a personal foul? I mean, that was blatant. That was disrespectful. That was insanely illegal under the rules. That should have been 15 yards. I don't have any idea how they missed it. They also missed a blatant face mask. I thought that those missed calls tended to go in Bama's favor, and certainly Bama got a big call late on that final drive where they caught correctly Calvin Ridley getting tackled with the face mask. But that was a blatant, I thought, grab, smack in the head, and also a blatant face mask that the officials missed. I don't know how 48 on Bama didn't get ejected. I also don't know how he stayed in the game and came back in and clotheslined the dude. He was like the worst villain in the WWE, the dude that you don't want to screw with, the guy that you don't want to fuck with. He came in and made an incredible play, but that would have been a major storyline had Bama lost. Not just that Bama lost, but that everything fell apart on the sideline in a very un-Nick Saban-like fashion. I thought that was a mess. Alabama also false started on the tying touchdown. I will say this. I don't think if you're a Georgia fan, you can quibble with the fact that you got touchdown there. I don't know that Alabama's play call would have been any different from the 7, or from the 12 or whatever else. I think they would have run the same type of play. Georgia was achingly close. They were so close to an interception on the play where it was 20-10, I believe, and they went into the end zone and just barely missed that catch. I think that was the right call. There were a lot of borderline calls that could have been made. But to me, the worst play was the smack in the head of Fromm. That's something that you just can't miss if you're an official. That's something you can't miss, and it's a borderline ejectable offense. So to me, those were the calls that really stood out. I think it's likely that Jalen Hurts transfers, maybe to Texas. Maybe he transfers to FAU. I don't think he wants to go to a small school. I'm just not sold, guys, on the fact that Jalen Hurts is going to be a good quarterback. And that's why I bet on Georgia yesterday. Jalen Hurts can't throw the ball. And I think that Tua is going to be the guy for the next couple of years for Nick Saban in Alabama. I think he's going to be damn good. And by the way, I don't know if we have a single Hawaiian viewer right now, but if we have a single Hawaiian viewer, and there's a single person who watches this show right now from Hawaii, this is the apex of Hawaiian football. Marcus Mariota wins an NFL playoff game on Saturday on the road against Kansas City. And then the guy from the same school, Tua, comes in and wins the national championship on Monday. What an incredible performance by the Hawaiian duo quarterbacks. Fantastic for both of them. There you go. You live in Hawaii? We have an incredible win there. Yeah, Hurts cannot throw the football. And what I honestly think when I watch this is, how in the world did Saban go this long without pulling Jalen Hurts? I think it was simply a function that they went 26-2. And he was afraid to pull him out because they were winning at such a high level. And then finally, when they had such an atrocious performance against Kirby Smart in Georgia, he didn't have any other options. And so he said, you know what, I've got to go with Tua. Credit to Jalen Hurts for how he handled the benching. That had to be very difficult, but I thought he handled it in an incredibly classy way, was rooting aggressively for his team on the sideline. I think Hurts is a great kid. It's certainly a kind of guy you would want on your team. I just don't think that he is very good at the quarterback position. He's more of an athlete playing quarterback than he is a quarterback. That's what I think, having watched every game that he's played at Alabama since he got there. Trump. A couple of things on Trump. I was told that Trump was going to do an interview with the Alabama local broadcast, the Eli Gold crew. I don't know why he didn't show up. I spent the first quarter waiting right by the Alabama broadcast booth because I thought Trump was going to walk by and I was going to try to talk to him and see if I could get him to talk to me a little bit. But he never came up into the press box. I don't know why he changed his mind. Here's something else. He rejected ESPN. He turned down an interview request from ESPN. And I also think this was interesting. I also think this was very interesting. There was no plan for Trump, I was told, to walk onto the field. I was told by people who had been there organizing the college football playoff that right before the anthem, just a little bit before when he arrived in that stadium, Trump stepped right in, big-timed it, and said, hey, I want to go on the field for the national anthem. And they had no idea that was going to happen, or at least no one had been told. Suddenly, Trump big-timed it, made ESPN put him on television as he walked on the field for the national anthem. Some people say, oh, there was so much booze. That's bullshit. There was hardly any booze. Everybody was standing in the stadium. There was mostly cheers. There were USA chants. Like, there are 80,000 people in there. That is Donald Trump's home base. He won that stadium by a substantial margin. So everybody out there wants to be like, oh, everybody hates Donald Trump. There was so much booing. There was so much negativity. No, there wasn't. Trust me, I was there. That's an exaggeration. There's no legitimacy to the idea that he was getting booed like crazy. That's just pure partisanship. I'm telling you, I was right there, and it didn't happen, and it wasn't a big deal in terms of the way that he was handled. I was there. I understand that some of you hate Donald Trump, and so every single thing that happens, you have to be like, oh, no, there were so many people who hated him. Just shut up. Just shut up. It's not true. That was not a loud booing at all. It was almost all cheers, and it was, you sound like his press secretary. People can't handle anything positive being said about Donald Trump. It's amazing to me. Look, I didn't vote for Donald Trump. I wish that he didn't send the kind of tweets that he sends sometimes. But let me just say this. The stock market is fucking surging again. It's about to hit 26,000. The unemployment rate has never been lower. The unemployment rate for minorities has never been lower ever in the history of this country, all right? The average median per capita income, that's the very middle, has never been higher per capita. That means adjusted for inflation in the history of the country. I don't know why people are so mad at Donald Trump. I really don't. What has he actually done other than send tweets that hurt your feelings that's actually hurt the country in any way? The country has literally never been stronger. In the history of our republic, there have never been more rich people, and there have never been more people with jobs. This is literally the best things have ever been. Now, does the president deserve all the credit for the economy? No. But does he deserve some of the credit? Yes, particularly when he's a business person and that's what he campaigned on. So I don't get all of this anger and all of this derision and all of this insistence that people don't like Donald Trump. Lots of people don't like him, but I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. I wish that he didn't tweet as much as he does, and I wish he didn't tweet all sorts of ridiculous stuff. But am I upset that he gave the country a tax cut? No. Am I upset that the stock market is at an all-time high and continues to surge even today as we are talking? No. Am I upset that the Latino and black unemployment rate is lower than it's ever been before and that we're approaching an all-time low for unemployment? No. Like, how can you be upset with all of these things? Like, because he sends tweets that make you sad? Quit being such a goddamn pussy. The president of the United States' job is not to make you feel happier. It's not. It's to not fuck up in a substantial way. And so far, we've never had a better economy, and we've never had a better situation for the country right now. It's not like he took us to war in Iraq. It's not like he got his dick sucked in the Oval Office and had gotten impeached. He just sends out tweets that say, call people names. Like, it may not be that presidential, but I don't really care that much. So this idea that the media has that everything Donald Trump does, I thought it was a big helicopter dick move to show up at the game, to walk out for the national anthem, and to stand there with all the football fans and be like, hey, yeah, they're going to take a knee in the NFL, but I'm going to stand with the football stand up for the national anthem here in front of the entire nation. I thought it was a big helicopter dick move by Donald Trump. Now, I'm not an expert on everything, but I'm there, and I've been at a lot of games. I ain't seen no other president show up and get cheered and people chant USA when he was there, so he went where his base was. Now, if it had been Cal playing Northwestern, probably doesn't want to show up. probably doesn't want to show up for a Cal Northwestern game. But he won the state of Alabama by 21 points or something. He won the state of Georgia. He won every SEC state. This was him going to his base and having them, like, praise him as he walks on the field. I don't know. I don't see it as a bad move at all. 26 million people are watching. And by the way, where are all my people who said they weren't going to watch because it was 2 SEC teams? More people watched Alabama play Georgia than watched either of the Alabama against Clemson games. And I'll tell you why. Because most people don't know the difference between Clemson and South Carolina. You and I do, because we're big college football fans, but the average dipshit in the Northeast doesn't know what conference Clemson is in, and the average dipshit on the West Coast doesn't know what conference Clemson's in. So Alabama-Georgia is a bigger matchup than Alabama-Clemson because people know Georgia. They know the brand. They know the state. And so I was out here saying, this is stupid, this idea that it's going to be a low-rated game because you got 2 SEC teams. The SEC is the best brand in college football. If you have to have 2 big teams from one conference playing, SEC is the best possible option. And so that, my friends, is why things continue to dominate in college football. And by the way, I think it's a significant story that college football was up 10% over last year, while all the NFL ratings were down 10% or more, and the game between the Panthers and the Saints was down over 20%. That is actually pretty substantial, I think. So that is all of the stories there. I think they're all pretty fantastic, and it was a great game that came down to the wire, and Georgia, as Georgia often does, managed to steal right from the jaws of victory, defeat, and that is what they managed to pull off. Now, I'm going to talk about Lavar Ball maybe a little bit more tomorrow, but I want to thank all of you. I met a ton of Outkick people just walking into the stadium. It was an absolute zoo getting into the stadium. The highlight for me was when the owner of the Chick-fil-A in the inside the stadium was like, oh my God, Clay Travis, can I get a picture with you? So when the owner of the Chick-fil-A inside the stadium is a big Outkick fan, I know that I'm doing things right. I want to get on this Lavar Ball story. I'm going to hit on it a lot tomorrow. But to me, I think the Lavar Ball story that's most intriguing here is the idea that people shouldn't be covering Lavar Ball. You can't blame any media entity for covering something that everybody wants to read. This reminds me back in the day when Brett Favre was going to retire or not retire, and everybody's like, I don't care about Brett Favre. I don't care about Tim Tebow. I don't care about Johnny Manziel. And then all the numbers tell you otherwise. People are like, I don't know why you ever tweet out pictures of players' girlfriends. Nobody cares about that stuff. And literally, it's the most clicked on thing I do. Anytime I put out a picture of somebody with a new girlfriend, people click on it like crazy. And then people say, oh, this is disgraceful. This is disgusting. How dare you put out pretty pictures of good-looking girls? Here's the deal. Here's what we do at Outkick. We are fearless. We love sports, gambling, being reasonably entertaining about politics, and girls. And I also like alcohol. If that's so wrong, then I apologize to all the pussies out there. But guess what? I ain't changing. I'm going to do what I do. We're going to do what we do all through 2018. We're going to continue to dominate because of you guys. I love it. College football season, the best sport in all of America. I hate to see it disappear. I hate to see it go bye-bye, but we will talk a lot about it still all throughout the days ahead. I do this show every single day, usually at 3 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Central. I'm a little bit early today because it's been such a wild time. I appreciate all of you. We started the season down in Atlanta. We finished the season down in Atlanta. I wish the blood bank had hit at the end, but I do feel like we were on the right side. Finished with 49% winners and a 4-1 conclusion in the college football playoff. I love all of you guys. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me. I'd encourage you to go download and subscribe to our podcast. Millions of you are doing it. And the radio show. If you're new to me, the radio show is on 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern, all 50 states. Also, Sirius Channel 218 and XM Channel 202. Thank you for all the feedback that I've gotten so far this year. That game was incredible. Congrats to Georgia. Congrats to Alabama. Most importantly, congrats to Tua, who became a legend last night. Encourage you to go check out the Twitter feed. Had some awesome stuff. And thanks to ESPN for putting me on television, standing right behind Nick Saban. It was an incredible game, and it was a fantastic season. And I thank all of you for all of your support. The legend of Tua has begun. That guy, 3 touchdown passes, including a 41-yarder walk-off. Never seen anything like it. Doubt we'll see anything like it in the future. I am Clay Travis. Thanks for hanging with me here on Outkick the Show. We'll be live 6 to 9 a.m. tomorrow. Kisses, DBAP, don't be a pussy. I will talk to you guys tomorrow.